Jiali acted arrogantly and superiorly in front of the My family. She deliberately asked Chengwan to order the dishes, and Zhao Liang accompanied her. She was displeased with his sister's bossy demeanor, and Zhao Liang repeatedly apologized, trying hard to speak well of Jiali. Lei Shen thanked Chen Daijing for her hospitality and expressed his reluctance to see his daughter getting married soon. Lu Wanyu praised Chengwan in front of everyone, and Zhao Liang promised to love her for the rest of his life. However, Jiali pointed out that Lei Shen didn't know how to drink red wine, prompting a heated argument with Lu Wanyu, creating a very awkward atmosphere. Jiali deliberately picked the fishtail for Chengwan's parents, but Cheng Zhao quickly took it and ate it to ease his parents' embarrassment. Lu Wanyu discussed the wedding plans with Chen Daijing, who left it up to Zhao Liang to decide. He wanted a destination wedding, but Lu Wanyu insisted on a lively wedding in their hometown. Jiali mocked the quality of the guests Lu Wanyu would invite, which made her angry. Zhao Liang surprisingly sided with his sister, which was the last straw for Chengwan. She announced that the wedding was off. Jiming came to deliver a gift for Chengwan but overheard the families arguing fiercely outside the door. He quietly left the gift and went away. Jiali shouted at Chengwan, and Lu Wanyu, infuriated, started arguing with her. She dragged Chengwan and Lei Shen away. Zhao Liang hurriedly chased after them, trying to persuade Chengwan with kind words. However, she had seen through the Shin family and decided to break up with Zhao Liang. Back in the private room, he shouted angrily at his sister, who stormed out, slamming the door. Chengwan received the gift from Jiming and called to thank him. He advised her not to be bothered by the Shin family's prejudice and to live confidently. Cheng Zhao made a bowl of noodles to comfort his mother, who had high hopes for him and wanted him to bring honor to the family, but he found it difficult to express his true feelings. Chengwan went to Ma Mao to vent. Zhao Liang kept sending her messages and apologizing, but she was fed up and ultimately gave up on him. Ma Mao took Chengwan to a bar to relax. She drank a lot in one go and soon became intoxicated. His brother came to pick her up and suddenly received an internship offer from Fengyuan law firm. He was overjoyed, and Ma Mao was also happy for him, ordering him a drink to celebrate. The next morning, Chengwan returned home and made a delicious breakfast to apologize to her mother, who had long since forgiven her and hoped for her happiness. Chengwan promised to find a boyfriend who would meet Lu Wanyu's approval. She gave Mom a gift and made a cake as an apology, which deeply comforted her. The wife asked her husband to borrow money from Grandma Chen for Chengwan's dowry, but since Chen Shujun was not his biological mother, Lei Shen found it hard to ask. Lu Wanyu went to the nursing home to see Mrs. Chen but learned that she had been taken out for breakfast. Jiming invited his grandma to have breakfast at Xing'an Li, and she was very happy. He proposed that he and Chengwan help Mrs. Chen manage the business at Xing'an Li. Mrs. Chen found various excuses for her to decline, so Jiming suggested that she buy insurance instead. Lu Wanyu, having heard from the nursing home staff that Jiming had taken Mrs. Chen out, rushed to the hotel to find them. Upon entering and hearing Jiming's proposal, she assumed he was trying to deceive Mrs. Chen out of her money. Without listening further, she barged in and attacked Jiming. Chengwan rushed to the nursing home upon hearing the news. After quickly understanding the situation, she repeatedly apologized to Jiming on her mother's behalf. Upon realizing that Jiming was Chengwan's boss, her mother reluctantly apologized to him. She explained her reason for coming. She wanted Mrs. Chen to provide money for Chengwan's dowry so the Shin family wouldn't look down on them. Chengwan strongly opposed this. She declared she would rather not get married than compromise with the Shin family. Mrs. Chen pulled Chengwan aside to ask about her feelings regarding the marriage. She revealed all the insults and ridicule his sister had directed at their family. She expressed her desire to improve her parents' lives through her efforts rather than relying on marriage to change her fate. Moved, Grandma Chen gave her a jade bracelet that had been passed down in their family and advised her to consider the marriage carefully. Lei Shen, learning that his wife had gone to ask Mrs. Chen for money, couldn't help but reprimand her. Mrs. Chen reminded Jiming to take good care of Chengwan, whom she considered her niece despite having no blood relation. Unable to sleep, Chengwan decided to break up with Zhao Liang. She put the ring back in its box. Chengwan invited Jiming for coffee. He asked her to accompany him to visit Mrs. Chen over the weekend, and she readily agreed, mentioning that she often visited Mrs. Chen. Curious, he asked why she was so good to his grandma despite not being related by blood. Chengwan explained that she had long regarded Mrs. Chen as her grandmother, and they agreed to visit the nursing home together more often in the future. Lu Wanyu prepared a generous gift and sent Lai Tian to talk to Xin Jishan to find out his thoughts about the children's marriage. Lei Shen, having no choice, went to see Jishan without an appointment and was stopped by the receptionist. Meanwhile, Jishan, accompanied by his secretary, met Jiming. Lai Tian introduced himself as Jiming's driver and offered to drive them to see Jiming, using the opportunity to inquire about Xin Jishan's thoughts on the marriage. Upon learning that he was related to Jiming, Jishan saw the marriage as a chance to win the hotel's bid. He went home and explained the situation to his wife, Chen Dejing, suggesting that they have Zhao Liang and Cheng Wan get engaged first. Cheng Zhao reported to work at Fang Yuan law firm, where his senior arranged for him to assist Lawyer Lu. However, Lawyer Lu looked down on Cheng Zhao's school and qualifications, mocking him publicly and leaving him feeling awkward and embarrassed. Chen Dejing secretly followed Lu Wanyu to the market, where she approached her and offered to help. She followed Lu Wanyu home, learning to make spicy sauce while apologizing profusely and trying her best to please her. Chen Dejing asked Wanyu to speak favorably to Jiming, hoping he would award the hotel bid to their family. Chen Dejing went all out to please Wanyu, even introducing Cheng Zhao to work at her son-in-law Luo Mingli's Fangyuan law firm, not realizing he was already interning there. Dejing promised to make Cheng Zhao a full-time employee immediately. Overjoyed, Wanyu agreed to approach Jiming to secure the order for Shin's family. Wanyu gave her homemade spicy sauce to Chen Dejing, who threw it into the trash as soon as she left. Wanyu went to the hotel to find Jiming, bringing her homemade smoked fish for him to taste. She expressed her intention of getting him to grant the hotel order to Shin's family. When Cheng Wan heard about this, she immediately went to the office to pull her mother away, forbidding her from interfering in the bidding process. Upon learning that Chen Dejing had approached her mother under the guise of goodwill and mentioned Cheng Zhao's job, Cheng Wan was angry. Cheng Zhao wanted to earn a full-time position at the law firm through his efforts and didn't want to sacrifice his sister's marriage to secure his job. The mother yelled at him, but Cheng Wan called him out to encourage him not to care about others' opinions and to work hard to gain recognition. Cheng Zhao was worried that this would affect her marriage, but she assured him she could handle it and told him not to overthink. Early in the morning, Cheng Zhao arrived at the law firm. His colleagues' attitudes toward him had changed drastically, congratulating him on becoming a full-time employee early. Lawyer Lu even reassigned fieldwork to someone else, leaving him with simple office tasks and making him uncomfortable. Jiming transferred Cheng Wan to the position of administrative secretary. Zhu Zheng and his colleagues were happy for her, but Cheng Wan was confused, and Wu Yu felt deeply resentful. After work, Cheng Zhao went directly to Mao Mao's shop. She was overwhelmed with a backlog of orders, so he helped her with packing and shipping without thanks. Jiming gave the bidding documents to Cheng Wan. She couldn't understand why he promoted her and suspected it was related to the Shin family. He didn't want to explain much and encouraged her to do her job well. Cheng Wan delivered an invitation to Mr. Shin, who was on a business trip. As she left, she saw Zhao Liang and mentioned Chen Dejing's backdoor approach to her mother. He dismissed her concerns and left quickly for a meeting. Mr. Shin's secretary witnessed everything and came over to greet Cheng Wan. They were college classmates. Cheng Wan was surprised to find out Zhu Baochao was now Mr. Shin's secretary. Baochao revealed that Jiming intended to use the bidding to eliminate Deshan Home from the competition and asked Cheng Wan to help the Shin family. Cheng Wan, not wanting to mix work and personal feelings, made an excuse and left, leaving Bao Chao seething with anger. Cheng Zhao took the subway to work early in the morning and ran into Mao Mao at the subway exit. Cheng Zhao then poured out all his frustrations, and Mao Mao advised him not to care about his colleagues' gossip, which somewhat relieved him. Chen Dejing suspected that Cheng Wan was eyeing their family's wealth, and Jiali suggested that Cheng Wan sign a prenuptial agreement. Meanwhile, Bao Chao sought Wu Yu's help obtaining the hotel's bid price. Wu Yu refused outright, but Bao Chao offered her a generous gift and promised to improve her housing conditions once it was done. Tempted, Wu Yu was swayed. Since becoming Jiming's secretary, Cheng Wan had been working tirelessly, leaving early and returning late every day. Zhao Liang came to pick up Cheng Wan after work, but she was still unsure how to handle their relationship and ignored him. He playfully and stubbornly insisted in public, leaving Cheng Wan no choice but to get in his car and leave with him. He took her to a new house his parents had prepared for them. He told her it could be transferred to her name immediately if she liked it. Cheng Wan wanted to buy a home with their efforts and did not want to be swayed by his parents' property. She suspected Mr. Shin was giving her the house in exchange for the hotel bidding and questioned Zhao Liang, who admitted it and asked her to speak well of his family to Jiming. She felt powerless. Meanwhile, Cheng Zhao accidentally discovered a colleague drafting a prenuptial agreement for Zhao Liang. He immediately called his sister to inform her. Zhao Liang knew nothing about it, but Cheng Wan was furious, feeling insulted by Shin's parents, who used such an agreement to demean her. In anger, she left him. She went alone to the Huangpu River to clear her mind, recalling Jiming's reminder that her place in the Shin family would only be in the kitchen and garden. Concerned, her brother came to the river after work to comfort her. Chengwan had hoped to live a simple life with Zhao Liang, but it had become a mess because of his family. She vowed to change her fate through her abilities. Seeing her gradually calm down, Cheng Zhao was relieved. Zhao Liang, furious, went home to confront his mother and learned that the idea of the prenuptial agreement came from Jiali. He vented all his anger on his sister. When their father returned home after work and learned about the matter, he scolded his wife and daughter harshly. He had gone to great lengths to use Chengwan to connect with Jiming. But now things were a mess. He visited Jiming, trying to get close to him, and asked for a chance for Deshan home in the bidding. Jiming readily agreed and asked Chengwan to escort Mr. Shin out. He apologized to Chengwan for the prenuptial agreement and asked her to forget the past and help Deshan home. She refused to cut corners and hoped Deshan home would win the bidding based on its merits. He Dong, who was eavesdropping, reported the conversation to Jiming. When Jiming learned about the prenuptial agreement between the Shin family and Chengwan, he was furious and wanted to expose Deshan Home's bribery scandal publicly. He Dong worried that this would affect Chengwan's career and marriage prospects, but Jiming did not want her to marry Zhao Liang. The bidding took place as scheduled, with the participating home furnishing manufacturers arriving on time and sending representatives to give speeches. Zhao Liang represented Deshan Home and gave a presentation. Dennis temporarily asked the manufacturers to leave the room while the judges deliberated. After discussion, the judges chose Tianhe Home. Mr. Shin thought he had it in the bag, but Jiming produced another rebate list from Deshan Home for hotel promotional gifts. Zhao Liang admitted he had approved the discount for Chengwan. His father publicly announced the relationship between Chengwan and his son, accusing her of using this relationship to ask for kickbacks from his son. Chengwan defended herself, but Mr. Shin refused to believe her. Jiming quickly intervened to clear her name. Suddenly, Bao Chao stood up and accused Chengwan of leaking the bid price to Tianhe Home. Mr. Shin was convinced that Chengwan and Jiming had conspired against Zhao Liang and forcibly took him away. Chengwan confronted Jiming, questioning the rebate list. He admitted that he had seen the rebate list long ago and believed she had leaked the bid price to Tianhe Home. Chengwan retraced the entire sequence of events and realized that Jiming had been using her to deal with the Shin family and eliminate Dennis from the competition. He admitted this, leaving her disillusioned. She had always felt that Jiming had been looking out for her, even accompanying her to visit her grandmother, only to discover that it was all a facade. Ji Ming suspected that someone had hacked into Chengwan's email to leak the bid information, so he called the security department to check the surveillance footage from that day. Unable to find Chengwan anywhere, he went to the nursing home to ask his grandma about her whereabouts. She guessed that Ji Ming had mistreated Chengwan and scolded him. Realizing he could not keep Chengwan, Ji Ming asked He Dong to find a suitable position for her elsewhere. Having successfully undermined Dennis, Pei Sheng called Ji Ming to celebrate the victory, but he only wanted to leave the mess behind and return to headquarters as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Chengwan tried to call Zhao Liang to explain the bid leak, but he did not answer. Mao Mao and Cheng Zhao came to console her. Chengwan wanted to resign but didn't want to be accused of leaking company secrets. She asked her colleague, Shui Li, to open her email account, only to find out that her computer had been confiscated for evidence and the hotel's surveillance footage had been sealed. She suspected Bao Chao of being behind this. Chengwan confronted Bao Chao, questioning her about the email's origin, but Zhu Zheng blamed her for not cooperating with her. He Dong called Chengwan, revealing that someone had sent the email using her computer. She immediately recognized the person as Wu Yu and confronted her, secretly recording their conversation. She presented the evidence to Jiming, and Wu Yu admitted to being bribed by Bao Chao, pleading with Chengwan to forgive. Zhu Zheng also asked for leniency, but Chengwan insisted on calling the police. Wu Yu tearfully confessed her difficulties establishing herself in Shanghai, while Chengwan expressed her struggles and determination to support her family through hard work. Ji Ming agreed to handle Wu Yu's case with the police, and Chengwan requested a transfer to be as far from Ji Ming as possible. He assigned her to the property department of the hotel apartments. When Chengwan returned home, the mother had prepared her favorite dishes. The father sensed something was troubling her, but she made excuses to cover it up. Chengwan packed up and reported to the property department. Shui Li voiced her grievances, but Chengwan reminded her to be cautious. Dennis was suspended and transferred back to the Swiss headquarters. Although Jiming had helped Pei Sheng achieve her goal, he felt no joy. And He Dong noticed that Ji Ming had feelings for Chengwan. Mr. Shin decided to fire Bao Chao, who resisted, but he was firm and uncompromising. At the apartment property, Manager Zhang introduced Chengwan to each department and briefly explained her responsibilities, which included managing 16 tenants. Manager Zhang instructed her to collect overdue property fees from Ms. Chen in Unit 512. However, Ms. Chen refused to pay and complained about various unsatisfactory services. Ms. Chen even demanded that she buy her milk tea and deliver it within an hour. Chengwan ran to the store and returned with the milk tea on time. Ms. Chen, however, continued to assign her numerous tasks, which Mai completed patiently despite being utterly exhausted. Jiming watched everything. He then moved to the same floor where Chengwan was working, giving her various tasks while showing concern. However, she did not appreciate his attention. Chengwan learned about the dispute between Ms. Chen and the butler from her colleagues. She carefully reviewed Ms. Chen's information and arranged for her to attend the hotel's regular wine tasting events. Meanwhile, Cheng Zhao was diligently performing his duties and went to the client's factory to investigate, resulting in him being late for a meeting. Lawyer Lu complained about him to their superiors. Cheng Zhao rushed in with the evidence and documents he had collected. The firm's leaders were pleased, advising Lawyer Lu to focus more on his work.